good chance that this is going to completely die out before I even get home. Because my phone is at like 2% battery life. Y'all know what? Don't bother me none. Why bother you? Don't bother me. Let's do this. Let's go there. Less. No, it's gotta be less. Because there's ice. And water freezes at 32. So it's gotta be cold at 0. On this lane. Stay here. Have fun. I'm also doing a hidden stream right now to Steam to see how well the video picks up from here. It won't be public. Not anybody's gonna pay attention. Somebody pays attention to me anyways, but whatever. Hey, hello. Goodbye.
Because they don't like him, they don't like us. Those who vote yes on today's articles of impeachment must carry the heavy burden of shame and guilt for as long as they serve in Congress, which won't be long because the American people will remember in November. Democrats would rather trip the president just to see him stumble than see America succeed. They'd rather impeach the president than work together for the common good of our country and our citizens. Democrats may have won the House in 2018, but they haven't forgiven Donald Trump for having the audacity to win the presidency. And they have to impeach Mother Effer. She's not alone. Trump's impeachment was plotted and planned before the ink was even dry on his election certificate, and possibly before some Democrats could even point to the Ukraine on a map. In seeking the chairmanship of the Judiciary Committee, the gentleman from New York said that he was the strongest member to lead a potential impeachment. Democrats may not have known why they were going to impeach the president, but they knew it was an inevitability. Facts be damned. This impeachment is a slap in the face to the millions of Americans who voted for President Trump. The same Americans that smelly Walmart shoppers and deplorables. This impeachment isn't legitimate. It's the radical left's insurance policy. But we have an insurance policy too. It's the next election, and we intend to win it. I yield back.
Gentleman from California.
I don't think I recognize
have served as touchstones for our country ever since. First, it established America as a nation of laws where no person is above the law. Second, it established the concept of a separation of powers where three co-equal branches of government would check each other, lest power be concentrated in one at the expense of liberty to all. Madam Speaker, when President Trump abused the power of his office by soliciting foreign interference in the upcoming election for his personal benefit, he willfully infringed upon the right of citizens to decide who will lead our nation. And in doing so, he placed himself above the law and in violation of his oath. And when he denounced, denied, and defied the clear authority of Congress to investigate his conduct, he repudiated our constitutional system of checks and balances and further violated his oath to preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution. And it is for these reasons I will cast my vote in favor of impeaching President Donald John Trump. I yield back.
Gentleman from Georgia.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I yield 2 minutes to the gentleman from Arizona, Mr. Biggs.
Gentleman's recognized for 2 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Some of my colleagues across the aisle
Representative Andy Biggs, Republican of Arizona.
the burden of proof. It's your burden of proof, Madam Chair. It's the Democrats' burden of proof. But the facts are unchanged. The Ukraine received aid that they were promised and appropriated for. The aid was lawfully dispersed. In fact, it was dispersed within the time limits set by this Congress.
into account, regardless of party or politics, who sets fire to the very institutions that define our nation and our values. And with this in mind, I will vote yes to impeach Donald J. Trump. I yield back.
Gentleman from California yields. Gentleman from California reserved. Gentleman from Georgia is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I yield a minute and a half to the gentlewoman from North Carolina, Ms. Fox.
Gentleman from North Carolina is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise in strong opposition to the process and to the Republican Virginia Fox of North Carolina Republican solemn power of impeachment. It is imperative that it does so in genuine pursuit of justice, fairly, transparently, and objectively. Anything less is unacceptable. This partisan impeachment has fallen far short of that. Sadly, Alexander Hamilton's prediction in Federalist number 65 has come true, where he warned that in many cases it will connect itself with the pre-existing factions and will enlist all their animosities, partialities, influence, and interest on one side or on the other. And in such cases there will always be the greatest danger that the decision will be regulated more by the comparative strength of parties than by the real demonstrations of innocence or guilt. After years of investigations, hearings, and millions of taxpayer dollars, Democrats found no proof that the president committed a crime. No proof, as the vague accusations in these articles clearly reflect. A basic prerequisite for impeaching for high crimes and misdemeanors is the charge that an actual crime was committed. These empty, baseless articles expose for the American people what this is: a desperate partisan attempt to avenge the loss of the Democrats' preferred candidate in 2016. We must respect American voters and reject these articles.
Gentleman from Georgia reserves. Gentleman from California is recognized.
Mr. Speaker, just a quick fact check before I yield to the gentleman from Massachusetts. My colleagues on the other side of the aisle claim that no Republican witnesses were allowed to testify. That is, of course, not correct. In the Intelligence Committee, 3 of the Republican requested witnesses testified. That is, 1 out of every 4 of the witnesses were Republican requested witnesses. That they incriminated the president did not make them any less requested by the minority. I'm now proud to recognize the gentleman from Massachusetts, Mr. Keating, for 1 minute.
Gentleman from Massachusetts is recognized.
Today I reflect on
Representative William Keating of Massachusetts, Democrats.
John Adams, who in one sentence captured the very foundation of our country, saying, "We are a government of laws, not men." Translation: caution that any one of us holding public office would be judged by the high court of history on whether we were truly men or women of courage, with the courage to stand up to one's enemies and the courage to stand up as well to one's associates, the courage to resist public pressure as well as private greed, and on whether we are truly men or women of integrity, who never run out of the principles in which we believe, and whom neither financial gain nor political ambition could ever divert from the fulfillment of our sacred trust. President Donald Trump, indifferent and disdainful of this sacred trust, conspired to extract personal benefit from his office. He dishonored his oath. I refuse to abandon mine. I yield back.
Gentleman from North Dakota.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I'd just like to point out very quickly that the only Republican witnesses allowed in the intelligence hearings were on the Democrats' pre-approved list. And with that, I would yield 1.5 minutes to the gentleman from South Carolina, Mr. Rice.
Gentleman's recognized for 1.5 minutes.
Madam Speaker, I rise in opposition to this partisan sham of an impeachment resolution
Representative Tom Rice, Republican.
beginning even before impeachment of obstructing Congress. Look in the mirror, folks. The reaction of the American people that this is contrived and corrupt was entirely predictable and is entirely correct. The polls have turned against them, and the Democrats are desperate to stop the bleeding. That's why we're cramming this vote in today, just before leaving for Congress, to dispose of impeachment as quickly and painlessly as possible. The actions of the Democrats are a stain on this chamber. I urge my colleagues to join me in fighting against this shameful abuse of power and vote no on this sham of an impeachment resolution. Thank you, Madam Speaker. I yield back.
Gentleman from California.
Hi, Madam Speaker. Didn't think I'd have to do an effect check so quickly, but of course there was no pre-approved witness list. I'm now proud to recognize a gentleman from New York, Mr. Meeks, for 1 minute.
Gentleman's recognized for 1 minute.
The decision to impeach a president of the United States is of enormous magnitude and utmost significance. There are few issues that so
Representative
deeply
Gregory
affect the
Meeks
public
of New York,
the
Democrat.
American system of governance. As a senior member of the United States House Foreign Affairs Committee, I've spent years trying to promote American values of democracy and the rule of law in other parts of the world, including Eastern Europe. Because I have been so steeped in Ukrainian issues for so long, I know how damaging President Trump's actions were. But the president's damages, it does not end there. He has consistently obstructed at every turn of this investigation. This nation's founding fathers fought to end unaccountable rule. We did not free ourselves from a king to turn the president into a monarch. But the camera of history is rolling. And I will cast my vote consistent with the principles of democracy, the rule of law, and our Constitution for the impeachment of President Donald J. Trump. I do so because I could not look my granddaughter or any member of future generations in the eye, having condoned actions that undermine our democratic system. And I urge all of my colleagues to do the same. May God bless the United States
Gentleman
of
from
America.
Georgia.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I yield 1 minute to the gentleman from Nebraska, Mr. Bacon.
Gentleman's recognized for 1 minute.
Madam Speaker, I am strongly opposed to this impeachment. No law was broken. No high crimes or misdemeanors. No impeachable offenses. Ukrainians received aid 1 week prior to the law's requirement. Aid that was previously rejected by the administration.
Representative Don Bacon of Nebraska, Republican.
President Zelensky said he received
Snap.
no pressure from the Trump
What we got going on here?
ever. Simply put, there's no quid pro quo and no crime. There's only the majority's disdain for the president, and that is not an impeachable offense.
Good.
The elections are in 10 months, but the majority
Yeah.
doesn't trust the American people. Too many have said that the impeachment is necessary so the president is not reelected in 2020, and that is shameful. Today's vote sets a new precedent for America. In the future, the majority
Semi-truck's just disabled. Okay.
is a tactic to remove a president simply based on
And then we got AT&T up there doing some work up on the line. Right.
For the end of time to show I was on the side of the Constitution. I opposed the majority taking down a duly elected president who committed no crime, and I defended the truth. Madam Speaker, I yield.
Gentleman from California.
Madam Speaker, my colleagues continue to make the argument that the Ukrainians got the money. Yes, the president got caught, but they got the money. No harm, no foul. It is the equivalent of saying if you're pulled over by a cop and you attempt to bribe the cop and the cop doesn't take the money but arrests you, where's the crime in that? They didn't get the money. This is what my colleagues would have you accept. This is what my colleagues would have you accept, that because the president got caught in the act, we must look the other way. But of course, that's not the way the law works. That's not the way the Constitution works. That's not the way our oath of office works. Our oath of office requires us to impeach a president that abuses his power, whether he gets away with it or he gets caught. And in this case, he got caught. I'm now proud to recognize the gentleman from New Jersey, Mr. Norcross, for 1 minute.
Gentleman's recognized for 1 minute.
Madam Speaker, I rise today a time of grave concern for all Americans. This past weekend, I joined a bipartisan delegation
75th anniversary of the Battle of Bulge, a battle that over 19,000 Americans gave their lives. Today, we're called to preserve that democracy.
Representative Donald Norcross of New Jersey, Democrat.
Over 2 years ago, I was one of the first members of Congress to vote to advance the inquiry. Since then, I have withheld final judgment as I review the facts and heard the testimony. I believe there is overwhelming evidence, well beyond reasonable doubt, that President Donald Trump is guilty in both articles of impeachment, abuse of power and obstruction of Congress. Therefore, I will uphold my oath to protect and defend the Constitution of the United States in favor of impeachment. It is our solemn responsibility to honor all those who have fought and given their lives, to uphold the truth. In America, no one is above the law.
Gentleman's
I yield
time's
back.
expired. Gentleman from Georgia.
Well, I just love this. Again, pot shot it in when you can. Remember quid pro quo. Didn't work out real well for him because that was supposedly had pressure on Mr. Zelensky. You know, the fact it didn't work out so well, you had to go poll test it. The majority didn't work out because focus groups didn't like it. So what do? We throw it in here. A bribe. Ooh, it's all in their report. But if they had a bribe or if they actually had a crime, it'd be in the articles. Guess what? He doesn't have it. He can't put it in there. This is all fluff and circumstance because they can't get to the president, and that's what's killing them. A minute and a half to the gentleman from Indiana, Mr. Bouchon.
Gentleman's recognized for a minute and a half.
Madam Speaker, House Democrats have been obsessed with impeaching President Trump since he was elected. He wasn't supposed to win.
Representative Larry Bouchon of Indiana, Republican.
The American people were told the only way the Speaker would move forward with impeachment was if the case was compelling, overwhelming, and bipartisan. Yet the case for impeachment that has been rushed forward by House Democrats is anything but that. To be clear, neither of these articles of impeachment prove any wrongdoing or impeachable offense has actually taken place. Instead, House Democrats' case rests solely on hearsay testimony and presumptions from cherry-picked witnesses. The framers of the Constitution never intended impeachment to be used as a tool to settle political and policy differences. That's what elections are for. This is a sad and dangerous moment in our history as impeachment is being used to undo the will of the American people and silence the voices of millions of Americans in the process. Alexander Hamilton would be ashamed. I urge my colleagues to vote no on this partisan impeachment sham, and I yield back.
Gentleman from California.
Madam Speaker, I now yield 1 minute to Mr. Crow, the gentleman from Colorado.
Gentleman's recognized for 1 minute.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Years ago, I took my first oath to the country, went to war.
Representative Jason Crow of Colorado, Democrat.
Some of them gave their lives for our nation. Not a day has passed that I don't reflect on those sacrifices. I learned during that time that our nation is built on sacrifice. We have overcome challenging times because people have decided to put aside their personal interests, their livelihoods, and yes, even give their lives to do what is best for our nation. Our founders created a system to ensure we would have no kings or dictators, a system that vested power in the people to ensure that no man or woman is above the law. Generation after generation, this system has survived because people have fought for it. Today, it is our turn. The president's abuse of power and scorn for our constitutional checks and balances is unprecedented. Unless we stand up against these abuses, we will set the country on a dangerous new course. My oath, my love of our country, and my duty to honor the sacrifices who came before us require me to act. To my
Other than that,
colleagues,
ladder is still there.
it's time to put aside our personal and political interests and honor those who have come before us. Thank you, Madam Speaker. I yield back.
Hasta mañana, my friends.
Gentleman from Georgia.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. At this
Hasta
point, I yield.
mañana.